Welcome back, it's Esther Gifted Hands. Today I will be using marine hair that I purchased from Amazon. It came with 4 bundles and a closure. Also a weave net, a purchase card, and a service card. The length that I purchased was 24, 22, 20, and 18-inch, and 18-inch closure. The hair was very soft but thin at the ends. I liked the closure because it was a nice tan lace that was closer to my skin complexion, and it wasn't too thin. It was just about right. Here I'm just preparing everything to bleach the hair. I take 2 pieces of foil, one on top of the other, and then I place the hair from longest to shortest, and then the closure after that. Then I level them straight on top where the bundles start for a reason, because I only wanted the very tip to be braid to be bleached. So this is the products I will be using: Kaleido Colors and Pure Right 30 Developer. I took about like 1.5 scoops and I just poured out. I can't really tell you exactly how much I poured, but I poured enough where it's not too liquidy and not too thick. So here I'm just going to be mixing them together and making sure all the lumps is completely out before I start. Then I start by bleaching just the very tip. Yes, I did not have any gloves, so I am doing it without no gloves, but I'll be fine. I try not to touch the bleach. So here I'm putting the bleach on the end, and as you can see, I'm also leveling that out. That way the longest bundle have more ombre than the rest of the bundles. Doing the same with the closure. So I'm putting like streaks on top. It's like the ghetto way of putting highlights. So yeah, I'm pretty much just making long streaks up and down, just so the hair can have some color to it. Now here I'm folding the foil and I'm about to let it sit there for a while before I rinse it out. Now the little bit of bleach I had left over, I put some on the closure, on the back of the closure, just so the knots could be bleached. Now I don't do this all the time because sometimes I feel like it's not a necessity, because the lace could be so close to your skin complexion that you don't necessarily need to bleach the closure. And then sometimes I feel like if the closure is not like a good quality closure, that can cause shedding. So if you like bleach it or overdo it, it will shed faster than normal. So here I am rinsing the closure out first. I'm using the Shimmer light shampoo. I did not wash all of them together all at once, just because I wanted the longest bundle to be brighter than the shorter bundles. So I rinsed them out one by one and took my time. That way the processing time for the other bundles could be longer. Now I will say that I did have to do the bleaching process twice, because when I did it the first time, it was not the color that I wanted. So the first time I bleached it for 30 minutes, and then the second time I bleached it for an hour. So altogether, all the bundles were bleached for about an hour and a half. Now I will say, compared to the other bundles, these bundles were harder to bleach, so I had to be really patient with it and try to be careful with it, because I did not want to over bleach it as well and dry the hair out. So yes, the second time I did use 40 Developer instead of 30. Now I am not a bleach expert, so I'm just letting you know what I did when I did my hair. Now you probably have other techniques to use or different ways to do yours, but this is how I did mine. Now after I was done rinsing it, I let it air dry for about half a day, and then I went to start my hair. So here's my hair. I blow dried it straight, and I'm about to braid it. Since I was getting the middle part, I try to make sure the part underneath was straight. Then once I got that done, braided my braids going down. Some people call it gangsters, so yeah. I also use fake hair on my edges just because it's very thin and sensitive, and since I'm going to be sewing pieces of hair on it, I didn't want it to be too weak. So once I braided the braids down, I connected them at the bottom and braided it going backwards in the back. Then once I braided the braid going across in the back, I started doing straight back in the middle back and then connecting those braids together as well. Now this is a braid foundation that I usually do on my own head because braiding your own hair could be very difficult, so I try to make it really easy as possible and really flat as possible. Now the braids might not be the smallest braids ever, but they're flat enough for the sewing to look just as good. So once I'm done braiding everything, I take that last braid and I sew it flatly through one of the spaces and then cut the thread off. Now if you have ever seen any of my other videos, you guys know how I feel about grease. So yes, I grease my hair down. And then once I was done with that, I started sewing down my net. Now I did not sew the net on the part, I just sewed 1 inch from the braid down and then all the way around. Now here I'm just cutting the excess net and then I will start sewing. Here I'm just cutting the front of the closure. I like to cut it first, that way I can have a clear view of what I'm sewing down. I sew maybe 1 inch past the closure to the first braid because naturally the lace is going to slide back. So if you sew the edge of the lace closure to the first braid, it tends to slide back quicker. So that is like one of my techniques of how I place my closure. And as you can see right here, I go back and forth from one side to the other just to make sure each side is tight. Since I'm doing it myself, I don't have someone holding one side down. Here I'm parting my hair down the middle. I try to put the part exactly where the part of my real hair is, so I can line. Now, because I wanted the 2 highlight streak in the very front of the closure, that's why I made sure that the part was even now, because I'm about to bleach that part now. I didn't bleach it while I was bleaching the hair because I wasn't for sure if the lace closure was going to sit directly in the middle. Sometimes things can happen, so that's another reason why I love getting free part closures, because you can part it anywhere on the closure. Now this is how the hair turned out. I wanted the color to be just a little bit brighter, but it would do for now. Now I'm just trying to separate it because the hair was still wet. It was a little bit hard to detangle it and unwrap it. Here I'm about to sew down my hair. I left it doubled because I wanted it very full and I wanted to fit all 4 bundles in my hair. I took the double weft and I sewed it underneath the first braid, and then once I got to the end I folded it over, that way I don't cut my weft. When I get to the side, I still do the fold over method until I get halfway up the side braid, then I start to connect the weft to the lace closure. I'm eating and dropping stuff. It was just a mess. But yeah, I also use nylon thread if y'all wanted to know what kind of thread I use. I stopped using cotton years ago, so now nylon is like my best friend. And I was eating a scrambled egg and cheese sandwich and it was so good. So here I'm trying to connect the weft to the closure. I try to make sure that it's tight and very close, because if not, if it's loose, then the lace is going to be loose at the front. Since I'm not using any glue, that's why it's best to make it as tight as possible. That way you don't need any glue. When I sew it down, I sew it to the very tip of the closure and then pull it down so that way it's even tighter when I put the second weft down. Now I'm sewing down my last piece of track. You do not see any foil anymore because I did go out and rinse the bleach part. It did not turn out the color that I wanted, but because I had to go, I just had to keep it the color that it was. So first thing first, because my hair was a little damp, I took a brush and started blow drying it to make sure that it was completely dried before styling. So the color I was going for was honey blonde, but it came out brown, which was okay. Now I'm tweezing the part to make sure it looks like my natural part. You don't want it too small, you don't want it too big, just right. When I'm done that, I'm about to start styling. I'm using a heat protector and flexi rise to style it. I will be using a flat iron to curl it at first. One thing I noticed was that my closure had some flyaways, so I used some setting lotion to lay that down. Now, I did not get a chance to tighten my closure because I had to go. I had a photo shoot planned for my birthday, and actually the next day was my birthday, so I was trying to hurry up and get out of the house, get the photo shoot done, and head to the concert that we had planned for the night. So here I'm curling with the flat iron, and then once I'm done that, I take a flexi ride and flexi ride it. That way, once I get ready, I can take my flexi rides out and my curls can still be fresh. This is what I look like headed to the birthday photo shoot, and these are some of the pictures from the shoot.
Hey you guys, so today is the next day and today is my actual birthday. Happy birthday to me. I'm finally 28 and I'm just so blessed to be here. I'm so blessed to be breathing. I'm just happy, and yeah, so yesterday I was doing my hair. I didn't get the chance to finish because I was rushing to try to get up out of here. So that's the only reason why I didn't completely finish, but it was finished enough for me to look good for the concert, and I will show you what I looked like last night. So here's the picture.
Now headed to the concert, I put back the flexi rise, but Juan twisted it instead, and these were the outcome of the curls from the flexi rise.
Today, the only thing I will show you is how I tighten my closure. Last night I did not show you how I tighten my closure, so I will show you today. So I pretty much just pull it down, take the needle, and I'm gonna sew this braid onto this closure. So I'm not gonna sew the edge of the closure. It's almost like the middle of the closure down. So here I am taking the needle and pulling the closure forward. And I'm gonna try to put the needle back in almost close to where I had pulled it out from. So this is just a security, so your closure does not slide back too fast. And I am lifting. What's the matter? I'm sorry, my daughter was in the background. So this side is almost done. I feel it. So I'm not gonna go past where the part is. I'm just gonna stop on this side. So once I do my last stitch into the very in the beginning of the cornrow, I kind of pull it out and then do a stitch going down. Try not to poke yourself. I know that might be hard, but yeah. So here's another stitch that I'm going to do until I reach the end of the closure, and then I kind of like pull the needle out like this. So that's how I secure my closure. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side.
Here I am doing the same thing on the other side, bringing the needle underneath and going really close and bringing it back underneath. And then once I get to the very top of the braid, I just stitch it going down. And then once I'm done, I make sure that I tie my nylon thread. I'm slicking down the little bit of baby hair that I do have left, and I'm just gonna curl it just a little bit more. But here's the final look. Thank you for watching and subscribe to me. Alright, bye.